Recording.
I'm not hearing.
Okay. Hey, listeners. Goddamn. I'm saying that because we have had quite a morning, had some audio issues. Then we got into a fight last night, but everything's cool now. Hey, listeners. Hey, hi, and low. And a special hey, hi, hello to all you patrons out there. Patrons, remember, it's only $1, $2, or $3 a month, or home of the 78 cents. Ben refuted that last week. But yeah, give $1 a month. We love y'all, and y'all love us. You can find the link to the Patreon in the episode notes if you're loving the Sci-Fi Sci podcast. Also, we do a monthly book giveaway. And this month's book, I think Ben's going to post a video of us pulling that person. But this month's book will be going to Alexis Lexington. Pew, 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 pew. We will also be giving away Twisted Tales next month. Special shout out to the following patrons: No De La Luz, Ariel, Mimi, Sydney Griffin, Lexi, Charmaine Rowland, Tara Nolan, Lacey Schneid, Sachichi, Chantel Cardi, Danielle, Kelsey, Marie. We're going to be shouting out those patrons every month. Now let's get started with the show. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Sci under the Believe Podcast Network. It is indeed a podcast about Black science fiction, Black fantasy, and just me and Ben staying on the same page as a family, with wiggles as well. Today for episode 93, we're going to be discussing the show The Man Who Fell to Earth. It is co-directed by Jenny Lumet, Black Queen, and Alex Kurtzman, white man, but we love him. It's also starring Chiwetel Ejiofor and Naomi Harris. But before we get into that, Ben, I don't know why. It just took us a long time to get to this episode. It's a day late, which I'm not even upset about anymore, but we're getting to it. We're new parents.
Yeah, so there are many different ways you can do a podcast. And I'm of the opinion that if you break up a book chapter by chapter, you end up losing a bunch of listeners, right? And so for me, I like to listen to things in completion. For example, I would like to watch the entire season of something before we discuss it. And Amber wanted to break it up. So I forced Amber to watch 10 episodes of the first season, the Showtime series. Absolutely phenomenal. We had a good time watching it.
But it took out, 10 episodes is 10 hours.
Yeah, 10 hours.
It's like 10 little movies.
Yeah, they're beefy episodes. But did you enjoy yourself?
I enjoyed myself, but
you told me you're ready to watch a new show. What's this new show you're about to watch? You're like, I need to binge a new show.
I said I got to catch up to season 2 of P-Valley.
Right, P-Valley.
Because it's not new. I watched it last season, but when you are forcing yourself to finish an entire season of something, it just is exhausting. Even if it's a really good show, if you had to sit down and watch 10 episodes of Game of Thrones, like that's a whole day. That's a whole 2 to 3 days when you have a newborn. So I love doing it. It's my favorite thing to do. Wild liked it too. Well, I just think, and y'all can sound off in the comments or find me in my DMs. It's not palatable for the audience to binge that whole thing with us.
Well, we discuss the themes, and if they want to watch it, they can watch it.
I know, but I'm just saying, as a former high school teacher, it doesn't help to teach the whole unit in one day. It's like, let's chunk this into sections to make it more digestible.
I forgot most of our audience is high school, so yes, I apologize.
I'm just saying, in general, it's really easy.
Podcast for high schoolers.
It's the same reason why when you go to a play, there's an intermission. Like, you got to chunk things for people so they can understand what they're watching, they can process, they can think about it, they can jump back into it. You love chunking things all the time. If I came in the house and said, Ben, I need you to do the dishes. I need you to do the laundry. I need you to help me water the plants. I need you to help do wiggles. It would be hard for you to do that in one shabam. But when you break it up and chunk things, it's easier for you to do. True or false?
Here's the thing, though.
True or false is my question.
The themes are pretty much the same throughout the entire season. So if we cut this in half, we would have discussed the same themes.
Well, the theme is the same in the house. Clean it up.
Right.
So okay, if that is your stance on it, the next time I need multiple jobs cleaned, I'm going to expect them all done in one sitting. Right. You drew a line in the sand.
You're talking about a single season of a TV show comparing to
a season of cleaning your home. What's the difference? The themes are the same. The characters are the same. Right. Got them. But This is a moot point because I finished all 10 episodes with you. I was held hostage in this house trying to binge.
I did not
10 hours of television.
I did not hold you hostage.
Yes,
I've
you
never
did.
held you hostage.
I asked you so many times, can we break this up into chunks? I'm a new mom. I'm trying to do a lot of stuff. And you said no. So that's a hostage situation, in my opinion.
Anyway, I've been doing a lot with you. We've been going to birthday parties, cookouts, baby showers.
I've been trying to live my life instead of just sitting in the house watching TV all day. But Ben, good grief. But we have been going.
But you know what's funny though is that Amber.
What is so funny?
Amber will watch Mormon No More. Watch 5, 6, 7 episodes in a single day. She'll watch. She'll binge watch her shows, and then if I want to watch a show, she struggles to binge watch, which makes sense because those shows, the thing is you're watching a show, we're taking notes on it together. We're discussing it. I live for that shit. Amber's like, this feels like you
live for it when it's your genre. If you had to watch a day's worth of competition cooking shows, things I love to watch, you wouldn't
I would have to
for it.
snort a lot of cocaine and drink a lot of alcohol.
So that's what I'm saying. It's
or like probably a downer. I'd have to smoke a lot of weed.
So if you had to spend a full day doing what I loved with no break,
but who agreed to do a sci-fi show?
It was me, but I didn't know I was signing up to be.
If we did a cooking show, I would have watched
freaking house arrest, watching science fiction and fantasy. We had a good time, y'all. We just kidding around. I know people always think like they actually hate each other.
You know, people thought I was evil because we recently went to go see a folk rock band, sort of like a Mumford and Sons. Why am I talking like this? I'm trying to be more charismatic and blah. Because I made a trailer for the podcast. She said I was really boring. It sort of hurt my feelings. I'm not boring. I'm not fucking boring. I'm exciting. I can talk.
Just because you talk in a weird voice doesn't make you more exciting. Okay. Why don't you just have better things to say?
Let our teenage audience, our high school audience decide that.
I'm just saying, whenever a teacher got in the front of the class of like, today we're going to do a term paper, it didn't make it.
Well, you're a cynic.
Exciting. You're a cynic.
Yeah. Anyway, I would have been down to that, but like, I would have perked up.
Or you could say like, today is going to be an opportunity to really defend something you're passionate about. Who here is passionate about something? There's ways to. You see this when people talk with their arm out like this.
It means that they're
engaging.
serious.
They're more engaging.
Anyway,
I could have been a televangelist.
You could have.
In another life.
Damn.
I could have had a private jet, made way more money.
The reason Amber brought that up is that we watched the award-winning film with Jim Baker and Tammy Faye. And
In the Eyes of Tammy Faye. I caught the end of it, but it's Jessica Chastain is a real
I think
marvel
she won
in it.
Best Actress.
She's great.
Anyway, we were talking about me being evil because we went to go see this concert and it started raining. You had to go pump in the car, and I was going to go with you. And you explicitly told me it's totally fine. You don't have to go, but we didn't show that.
Yeah,
on this
the
TikTok
power of
video.
editing. The power of editing.
And we're like, okay, because sometimes we'll make TikTok videos, and one of us is very clearly the villain, and then sometimes it's pretty amoral, like neither one of us is the villain. But then Amber will edit a video to make it seem like I'm the villain,
or me,
or maybe she'll edit.
People love to hate me. I love it.
I think people love to hate in general.
That's true.
Yeah, they love to pick and hate, sort of like the main antagonist in this TV show, Spencer Clay. This guy was evil.
Yeah, he was.
He liked to crush butterflies. Oh my God.
Who does that? Who crushes butterflies?
You know what? That actually reminded me. One time we took a neighbor on a hiking trip when I was in high school. This neighbor, and to be fair, this neighbor's father was dying of cancer and has since died. But we were at the end of the trail. We're all tired, and she just sits down and picks up a butterfly and starts peeling off its legs.
What?
Yeah, and my friend Jacob was with me. Jacob, shout out to Jacob, awesome dude. Served in Afghanistan.
No, he's not an awesome dude. He should have stopped the butterfly leg peeling.
No, but Jacob was like, "What are you doing?" No. So he asked her, and we were just so shocked. And me and my friend Jacob was like, this little girl, I think she was maybe in middle school and we were in high school. He was about to graduate, but he was like shook. Both of us were like, what the fuck? Like, what kind of person kills a butterfly? They're just completely innocent. They don't do anything. They don't harm you. They don't.
It's like the sequel to Kill a Mockingbird.
Even moths, like, sure, they eat your clothes, but just let them outside or figure a way, like, you know, this idea of the first instinct to just kill something is so frustrating, or just killing for pleasure is disgusting. You
had a conversation with me once about how I like kill your joy sometimes. Shocker, me, right? Well, the setup is like, I'll be trying to do something with the baby. Or
speaking of killing of butterflies, Amber kills my joy. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Never mind.
I just thought it was so messed up to think. Speaking of killing of butterflies, I don't think there's any comparison for going. But anyway, you kill my joy. Go for it. I'm sorry to interrupt. That was not cool.
It was. I'm not gonna say it now.
Please say it.
Nope. Dang, sounds like my mom just like Phil. I
apologize.
I'm literally gonna finish this sentence, and you're gonna support and respect me, right? This is real-time marriage therapy. Okay. Sometimes in the house, I'll be really working diligently to finish a project, maybe a YouTube video, maybe even something like this. And Ben will just start playing his violin, will start playing his guitar. And I recognize that those things invigorate him and excite him, and he's passionate about the playing of the musicality and all of that. But it's really frustrating because when he does that, the dog will start barking because it hurts his ear, and then there's just this melee of mess and chaos ensuing, and I just like need him to stop so I can finish this. And so one time, obviously I make him stop with my words, and it just kills his spirit a little bit. And so you told me that one time. You were like, it just really like, you kind of kill my spirit a little bit whenever you just tell me like, stop playing, stop, blah, 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 blah. But I think, therapy and just talking and listening to each other is starting to teach us that like, there's a time and place to play those things. And the joy of Ben needing to play those things like is important. And I do want our home to be filled with music. And I do sing loudly at any given point of the day. And you don't tell me to
any given point of the day.
Any given Sunday. So what I was trying to say is that I'm sorry for sometimes killing your joy. And I think sometimes like I need to look at that sometimes as seriously as I would like killing a butterfly.
Oh, well, that's wow.
Because it's because a butterfly is this like beautiful, spontaneous, rhythmic thing that just floats. And when someone just smashes it, it's like, oh, it was doing nothing. Butterflies are also quiet. So it's a little bit different.
Where the comparison breaks down.
That's where the comparison, the analogy falls apart. But yeah, so I'm going to just try to mentally start thinking about your talents as this beautiful butterfly.
I think it's also difficult because we work from home now.
Yeah.
And there is no separation between work, play, and hang out and everything else. And so you cannot, and since we do live in a 2-bedroom, it's like 900 square feet. We live in a very small apartment, which I love. It makes us be more intentional of whatever we buy. It makes us, cleanse and clear out places.
Yeah.
So I think living in smaller spaces, especially considering our environment, and basically we're going to have anything below the equator. There's going to be food wars, all of this, which the man who fell to earth gets into.
This is me. Reel it in. It is important that we sort of make these schedules around hey, I'm going to play at this time. Can you not? And you can't just go and play. And I think everybody learned that lesson during the pandemic as well. It's like, yay, we get to work from home now. But then the lines of like, when does the workday start and end begin to blur? Or even one time somebody on the internet said something to me like, you're a stay-at-home mom. Like, you should be getting these things done or whatever. And I was thinking like, am I a stay-at-home mom or am I just working from home with a child? Like that, there are two very different things. Like, and I'm not saying that stay-at-home mom does not work hard. Like, homemakers obviously are at home doing laundry, dishes, childcare, whatever.
But I'm sort of doing those things. Since we're both
Right.
at home, we're sharing that responsibility, which you have to because there are certain things that you create that I don't have the eye for. So yeah, you're not.
Yeah.
I don't. You're
I was
both
thinking,
a
like,
stay-at-home.
Stay-at-home mom.
You're like
I'm a mom at the home.
Yeah, you're 100% working at home, and then you're a 50% stay-at-home mom, and then I'm a stay-at-home dad, 100% working at home. So yeah, there's how you navigate that is going to be really tricky for us, I think, in the future. So staying at your parents' is we have a huge, crazy.
Yeah.
We're like, it's probably about what? We're in like 4,000 square feet of house.
We're currently, in Athens staying with my parents. And it's really nice because when we do want to like record and edit and get things done, my parents are a huge help. But I also think like, not to give couples out there advice because this is again, like the stay-at-home thing, this is a podcast where we are married, but it's not a marriage podcast per se. But if I could give one like note of things, I think something as simple as like those moments during the day, like, how I am. I'm like, can we just watch something that is not productive? Like, can I just get one family hug a day? Like, just you, me, and a Wiggles sandwich that's not recorded, that's just like a feel good. Like, I think like those moments of just joy and pause are really getting me through in the best way.
Oh, yeah. Like last night.
You have great hugs.
We cuddled in bed.
Your chest is hairy, so that's a drawback.
I prefer furry.
Your chest is furry.
Thank you.
You are an excellent hugger.
I try to give you two hands, 4 hands if I can help it.
Oh my gosh.
Or 3 hands if I can help it, I guess.
Did you see that video the other day we posted and somebody commented not to be a perv, but it just waved. I think it just waved at me. And I went back and watched that video.
It was waving.
Your friend.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
I was like, what? So yeah, give me a little wave down there next time we hug. Anyway, yeah, we have been doing a lot of fun events in Athens, and it just reminds me just how much I love people. Like, we are such social creatures, and I just didn't think about how, I wouldn't say we're isolated in Chicago, but just the nature of it. Like, people aren't constantly having events around me. I don't know. My Chicago friend base, like, we're all kind of just always busy. And so
maybe they are having events around you, but they're not inviting you.
No. People love inviting me to parties, you by default.
Also, let's get back to the nudity thing for a little bit. Okay. So
wait, when were we talking about nudity?
About my penis waving.
Oh,
fur
yeah. You weren't
and, like,
nude,
everything.
but yeah. So let's get back to Ben's penis. Go.
Yeah, back to my penis. So there's this great scene in The Man Who Fell to Earth where he's an alien basically the premise, he's an alien trying to learn how to be human, and he just walks out naked. And that scene just spoke to me. He's like, the temperature is totally fine here. And being in Athens, being in Georgia, it's so freaking like hot and warm all the time that you don't really need to wear clothes. But because our weirdness around naked bodies, I got to put on a fucking shirt and I got to put on pants and I got to put on underwear. We should just all be more comfortable walking around naked. And I know we're not there yet as a human society. There are certain small pockets like nudist colonies, whatever. They can do that. They've worked through that Victorian leftover, that, Puritan leftover mindset of being weird about nudity. But I definitely been thinking, being in a warmer climate, how easier it would be just to walk around naked.
Have you ever been to a nude beach?
I have not. But
didn't your church go to a nude beach?
My dad accidentally walked the youth. I wasn't there, but my dad accidentally walked his youth group when he was a younger pastor through a nude beach. So they probably had a long purity conversation after that.
Oh, a long one. I was thinking the other day. This is a random aside, but we do have a young girl child, and the aside is this. I was watching the new Jungle Book adaptation on Netflix with my brother and his girlfriend, and the Mowgli that they got to play, the child that got to play Mowgli in the series kind of had some I don't know. he just had a more feminine face. So at one point I asked him, I was like, is Mowgli cast as a little girl? Like, did the little girl play the part of like the man cub Mowgli? And they were like, no, I don't think so. I mean, that would be strange or whatever. I think all of us said that. I'm not trying to vilify my brother, his girlfriend, or anything. But I remember thinking, like, would it be strange? Like, some girls don't have boobs at age 8. So, like, could you cast a girl as Mowgli in the show without backlash? Probably not. I feel the same way when,
that gets into lots of different things.
Yeah. I mean, not that I want to see, like, this nude girl. That's not the point of this. The point of this is just, like, at what point... Because it's mostly women who need to cover up, right? When we're having this conversation of like what's important and nudity and things like that. Like, even when I see little girl kids in 2-piece bathing suits, I'm like, that's just a waste of money. You had to buy the top and the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. This is weird.
Yeah, instead of just
like, we're not going to buy Wiggles a
should...
freaking 2-piece. She's either going to just wear the bottom or a 1-piece.
Or maybe give her little shorts.
Yeah, that's why I said just wear the bottom. Because, like, I'm not paying and there aren't titties there.
Well, maybe we shouldn't be paying at all with titties. Unless you want to.
Right, that's really the conversation I'm getting to.
Breasts,
or whatever.
Or anything, yeah.
Anyway, let me get off of this before somebody's like, you just want to see kids naked. The people who know us and love us know that this podcast is rooted in integrity, comedy. And remember, if you are one of those people who enjoy the content that we are producing, I'm looking at all of these cameras, as you know. If you're somebody who's been enjoying the Sci-Fi Side podcast and you're like, I want to help in some small way, writing us a review is a really big help. So we got an incredible review and I will read it now. Kind, logical human beings offering refreshing perspectives. 5 stars. These two are hilarious and never miss a beat. The show isn't just sci-fi, but they will turn you on to some really obscure sci-fi media if that's what you came here for. Love that I have a new list of movies to view. Amber is the outspoken... What was that? Amber is the outspoken voice of a black angel, and I really dig Ben's disgruntled former grassroots organizer vibe. Fresh perspective, old topics informing the present. This podcast is awesome and so needed. That's from ZVY Gal on Apple Podcasts.
Awesome. Fantastic. We will turn you on, and we will turn you on to good science fiction podcasts. Good
okay, Ben. Well, with that being said, let's get into the plot of this incredible series. You want to take it away?
Yeah. So essentially, it's a direct sequel to the 1970 film "The Man Who Fell from Earth," starring David Bowie. So essentially, Thomas Newton is sent, 50 years ago to Earth from Anthea to solve global warming on his home planet of Anthea, and he needs water. This episode starts where Thomas Newton has called one of his, underlings, played by the wonderful Chiwetel Ejiofor, and his name is Faraday, to come to Earth and to bring fusion with him. And so Faraday has to sort of discover what Thomas Newton's plan is for him and has to find the plans to create a device that would create fusion to save both Anthea, but also Earth, because we now know that by 2030, Earth will be irrevocably.
Whoa, you choked on that word. I don't even know. Oh.
Irrevocably suffering from global warming, and everyone will fucking die on both Earth and Anthea if they don't solve this. And so, wonderful Faraday has to learn how to be human, and he talks like this, like Anthea. And so he's learning how to be human, like
from
the whole
humans.
time. From humans. It's so fantastic. And he learns little things in the first episode, like if you scream and yell fuck a lot, you can get what you want. And then he learns that actually that doesn't work with everybody. It's just so fantastic.
Well, he doesn't understand sarcasm. So when somebody said like, well, if you scream and yell fuck a lot, you'll get what you want. He was like, oh, okay.
Fuck! And so he has to enlist the help of this woman played by Justin Falls, Dr. Falls. She is a scientist.
Played by Naomi Harris.
Played by Naomi Harris, sorry. And the reason that Justin Falls knows an algorithm to create fusion, and actually created fusion at one point, but as a result, we find out later, by the way, spoilers for everything, she killed her lover and then had a kid. So she's decided to leave science altogether, and Faraday enlists her to help him create this fusion device. But it's so fantastic because you find out later that race actually plays a huge part in this, because at one point the CIA is trying to capture Faraday, and once they capture Faraday, the main villain, Spencer Clay, says, why did they send you? And Faraday's like, because Faraday's black, he's like, well, Justin Falls would have no reason to trust me if she looked like you, Spencer Clay, played by a white dude.
Blue.
And so it plays with like skin, and it's just a beautiful, like, one of the best episodes I think I've ever seen is basically like, one of those YouTube essays. You know how they do YouTube essays and they show these different like clips and stuff? Yep. There's basically one of those where Faraday is talking straight to camera, and it's this beautiful thesis on what it means to be human, and it comes down to both like the main purpose of humanity is to search for happiness, but there's a flip side of that, which is grief. And Anthians, they're so logical, right?
And Anthians are also split up into basically two groups of people: adepts, who are like the mentors and the leaders, and drones, who are just I don't want to call them the henchmen, but like they're subservient, and they just follow orders, and they just support the adepts' ideas. If someone was watching this podcast, who's who in that scenario. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, and what you find out though is that you cannot have adepts without drones.
Correct.
Every drone becomes an adept.
So and you are the drone to my adept.
I am the drone to you, and you need it. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's this closed system. At this point, you're just repeating
what I'm saying. Exactly. It's a closed system. I'm just kidding, babe.
Oil though. Oil is a big thing in here. So right now, gas is like $4 here in Georgia. Tell us where it is, where you're at.
Please do.
It was like $6 in Chicago.
And I hear in the Bay Area it's like $8 to $10 a gallon.
Oh God, we are addicted to oil.
Yeah.
I really think this entire first season really showed that you were wrong, Amber, right? I think you're completely wrong because you told me we should wait to buy Tesla, right?
We didn't have Tesla money.
We could have taken out a loan.
Sustainable nowadays. Sustainable things cost more money.
Yeah, and that's what it's really. Like the whole thing is really
which is
fucked
bullshit.
Up.
Like sustainable food costs more money. Ethical cars cost more money. So you like to like pick at people who
I do.
But like even this cloth diapering journey it can be a lot. And if we weren't working from home, that would pile up. So it's really hard to just question people's choices when like the government and the world, I guess at large, has not made it easy to do things ethically. Like,
yeah.
So continue what you were saying, Mr. I wanted a Tesla.
Fair. Also, I think this show does a really good job because at one point, Faraday and Justin enlists the help of another man, a tech guy named Hatch Flood. Hatch Flood is really funny. He's super dynamic. He's a great character, well acted. I think all of us has met a Hatch before, alcoholic. Spiraling, but very funny, super cynical.
Always needs a favor from somebody. You're just like, are you calling me because you missed me, or are you calling me because you need something?
Yeah. So he's almost like an archetype of like of a lot of maybe the white man who is woke but also passionate but also gay and also I don't know, there's,
if you're watching YouTube you see me pointing at Ben.
But at one point there's this idea where we think, okay, oil's a lot of money and we can just rid the world of oil. And Hatch goes on this rant. Like, you can't just introduce fusion, right? that you can't just solve the energy crisis immediately, because now there would be no sense in fighting over oil, and governments would start to topple, and the oil companies would lose all their money. No one would need that. People wouldn't have to work as much anymore. And it sort of delves into this idea that we think that, here's an easy fix to something, right? Especially now in our political climate. We think, okay, if everyone just did this thing, there are so many unintended consequences.
Yeah. There's a level of like, that slippery slope mentality keeps progress from happening sometimes, because it's like, Hatch, you're upset about that, and you're upset about like, well, we can't just try something new, because what if this fails and this fails? It's like, the shit is failing now. Like, something's got to change. Something, like, in the melee of like everything we're doing, the macabre of whatever we're doing has to change, because this is not success right now. So maybe one or two things toppling would be of a benefit, because tons of things are currently toppling.
Yeah, which is funny because you get this beautiful image of Anthea. Yeah, I would like to go to Anthea. And it looked terrible.
Me too. I think there's this, like, I recognize that we love home, whatever we call home, but and you know me, I'm not even a big person that's easily adaptable, but sometimes change is really good. Like, changing the way we do things, if those things are not working, are beneficial. And I think there's a part in the show where, so the Dr. Justin Falls has her father is dying, essentially, like slowly, like he too was a genius as well, and he's slowly losing the use of his hands and things like that. And so at one point he is like near death, and Faraday heals him. But when Faraday heals him, he gives him essentially like pieces of him and
turns him into a drone.
Essentially, yes, like Anthea nature and whatever. And it's frustrating because, well, it's hard, right? It's a rock and a hard place, because obviously Justin doesn't want her father to not be himself, but in this new form, he is stronger. He's gotten his like mathematical aptitude back.
Yeah.
And there's this, what we've seen sort of in Lilith's Brood, there's this resistance to be like, well, I don't want him to be an alien like you. Like, he needs to be back just his plain human self. And it's like, but that version of himself is a weaker version. Like, so where do we go? Like, we want people to be what we want them to be, when sometimes it's like, it might not be horrible that he can think more critically, but he like lost some elements of who he used to be. Like,
but
I don't know.
He loses the ability to remember feelings.
Yeah.
And he has to write
sucks.
down feelings. And Justin's like, what did you do to him? Like, why did you heal him? But everything that you do has, these unintended consequences.
Right.
Getting back to that theme. The other thing it deals with is this whole idea of immigration.
Of course.
Right.
Yes.
And immigration is a huge part. So Spencer Clay, our CIA evil villain, he's an asshole to waitresses. That's sort of our first introduction to him. Mm-hmm. He asks for a lemon. She brings him a lemon. But he's like, didn't I say lime? She brings him a lime. And he's like, but I really meant it. He's basically a psychopath, right?
Right.
And he's proud that he deported, thousands of people. And
he himself, we later find out, is like a Russian immigrant.
Right. Isn't that just, that's it, right? That's
always the worst, when someone who's like, but I immigrated the right way. Like, these other people are the problem. It's like,
not only was he an immigrant, but he believes his mother to be a terrorist, which, spoiler alert, turns out that she was actually also working for the CIA. And there's this whole, mystery backstory to him, which they do well. But what is more compelling is how they show the CIA as being completely amoral, right? Only sometimes the CIA does things that are beneficial for humanity. Sometimes, but most of the time, they are doing things that only benefit wealthy Americans.
Yep.
And there's this scene where they go to Cambodia, and Cambodia has this ridiculous, terrible relationship with the CIA. The CIA coming in, throwing, toppling governments. I don't know. It does a good job like tapping into that. But it's funny because, 60 years ago, the CIA on like old TV, because your dad just watches old TV all the time. And so CIA and secret agents were so cool. And like, we thought them to be these great value makers of American justice and protecting us. And that's just shifted now, I think, because things that have been hidden forever are coming to light. We're realizing the CIA.
Also doesn't help when we're like we have this sort of influx of like true crime podcasts and TV shows and docuseries, and we are solving crimes or like in
we
our
don't need the
brains.
CIA. We can do it ourselves.
Well, the format in which these stories are told really make us believe that we can solve these crimes. One, and two, the people have solved crimes. Like when I'm thinking about specifically of shows like Don't Fuck with Cats, right? Or the docuseries rather. Like people are in the comments being like, wait, I think I saw that vacuum in a store in Canada. So this person must be in Canada. Like,
or this place or that place. Yeah.
Yes. Like people are now sort of capable of looking in the background of a TikTok video and figuring out where somebody is from. Maybe it's because we're all chronically online or whatever. So and as new technology comes out, we cannot solely trust these like older white men in the CIA because they don't know, what the fuck a Tamagotchi is or what an algorithm is, or, it's like this acronym is from a Reddit thread. Like sometimes they don't always know that because they're old. Like that's just the reality of it. So like Gen Zers can solve crimes sometimes more quickly, or they can at least be like, oh, what kind of people use this dialect? The people that live in the Bay or the people that live in Indiana or whatever,
I think what the CIA does well is their ability
currently
to manipulate people and pressure people.
Of course, there's some specialized training. I'm not saying they're completely worthless, but sometimes
like
it's like
finding assets.
Yeah, but sometimes it is just like, why are like gamers on Twitter cracking the case to this instead of like people who are paid to do this? You know what I mean? Like, remember we were watching that like Web of Lies?
Yeah, the Web of Lies. Yeah,
on Netflix. I'm just like,
what are our tax dollars going for? They interview an FBI agent, and he pretty bluntly says that a lot of these white supremacist groups in the white supremacist episode are sort of one step ahead of the FBI as far as their ability to communicate, their ability to get people together through the internet. And I know it's a little scary. So
yeah, I remember seeing earlier this year, there was a video of this young black kid. He's probably like 11, and his mom's picking him up from school, and she's like, you see this kid back here? He just hacked the entire school's Wi-Fi and database, and they had to cancel school. And so I'm just like, okay, so why isn't this kid on the fast track to, either working for the government or working for some secret agency, or like why are we sitting here? Why is the school punishing this child? Like, yeah, maybe some punishment should be there, but like we need to pick up kids like this and literally use them to help solve crimes and hacking.
I don't know about that, because I think some of this knowledge is so ubiquitous, especially among younger kids, that you have to be sort of a sociopath, or you have to be some sort of twisted person to actually use that skill. For example, like it doesn't take a lot of skill to go out and buy a gun and shoot up a supermarket.
Right.
Like guns are ubiquitous almost in the same way that certain technological information is ubiquitous. But just because it's available doesn't mean that the people who decide to do that should be hired to do those kinds of things. I think like the ability to hack a school Wi-Fi's network is not that difficult, because we don't create enough
for an
firewall.
11-year-old.
I don't think it's as
because
ridiculous
for a black 11-year-old child. I just feel like the response would be totally different if this was, a young Mark Zuckerberg or whatever, because he did do stuff like that. He did hack Harvard's Wi-Fi and database, and he's a fucking billionaire.
Yeah, well, he's a billionaire because of his ability to like play people and manipulate people. It wasn't his actual technological skills.
That's BS.
I don't think he was writing code that was basically the same code that
you can be
already
manipulative
been
and not know how to write code.
Yeah, but when you combine the two, it becomes dangerous.
Well, I think it's.
I mean, I think Mark Zuckerberg is dangerous. He's a
I think
human.
it's not fair to say like, well, he's a billionaire because he's manipulative, and just dismiss all of his like computer science and algorithmic knowledge, like all of
I don't think he's exceptionally smart when it comes to that. He and a bunch of other programmers came up with. He didn't even come up with the idea of Facebook. It was already there,
right?
And he just played.
But he knew how to make it better.
Sure.
Like I'm not a Zuckerberg stan. I'm just saying, like, if Wild hacked a whole like district's Wi-Fi network and whatever, and they suspended her, like, what would be your response?
I'd be like, good.
I know, that's so why.
No, good that she got suspended.
Okay, you would not just say that. You would.
Well, like, how did she? I mean, I'd be like, first of all, if you allowed this kid to hack your network, obviously you didn't have any firewalls in place.
Or that kid is just really intelligent. Also, perhaps two things can be true at one time. Perhaps.
But here's my
problem. You would enroll her in some sort of like computer tech.
Sure, yeah. I mean, she probably would have already been enrolled for her to do that. But here's my problem: this idea that brilliance is the cause of your money-making abilities.
No, I didn't say just that.
Yeah, but Justine, or Jessie as their mother, as her father calls her, is brilliant. She for a second, she was able to create fusion. She didn't have the proper, alien technology to make it sustainable, but she's now like spending her life shoveling up waste in this. When Faraday meets her, she's trying to make ends meet, working $15-$20 an hour, and she's not using her skills. And actually Faraday at one point says, I will help you, I will give you this device, but you have to promise me that you live your purpose again. Yeah, Faraday's whole thing is like, you have to live your purpose. You have to be a scientist, and there is purpose. And this show has this really cosmic sort of theme of, the earth is dying, but then it gets into these very intimate, beautiful relationships that I honestly was crying at points. It was so precious.
It was. The writing is brilliant. I just think near the end, and maybe this is because we binged like 6 episodes in a day on the back half, there were some pacing issues for me.
Yeah.
Like that was just kind of irrefutable. Like there were some times where I was just like, okay, pick it the fuck up.
I completely disagree. I think the pacing was awesome. And you know why? They have a lot of fully realized tertiary characters. For example, the Floods, you have Hatch Flood and his sister Edie Flood, and they are in charge of Origin. Origin is this tech company that used the original Anthony Thomas Newton's, used all his technology to become very wealthy, very famous. And their father is this awful, terrible man who used to fat shame, body shame Edie Flood and manipulate her and tear her down to such a point that he was not going to turn over the company to her. And Edie Flood decides to push him. You find out sort of the last episode, essentially push him off these cliffs and kill him. And part of the reason she does that triggering moment, is that her father says, you never learn to shoot first. And as we're realizing that she is way more insidious than we first imagined, she has an argument with her son, Clive, and she goes into the house and walks out with a shotgun and shoots a horse in front of her son Clive to simply imply that I'm the one who has the power. I can shoot first. And it's very disturbing scene. This horse was already sick. It was going to die. I mean, she doesn't ethically kill this horse, but she does it as a statement of her, like, I can make decisions. I don't know. I think Edie Flood.
I think they did a good job with Edie Flood, and I think that they did a good job with character development, but there were some lulls near the end. I think the show started just like super captivating, like you had my full attention, and near maybe episode like 7 and 8, I was like, okay, I'm losing momentum here. I feel like this could have been, like, when I'm looking back at some scenes, I'm like, this could have been cut. This could have been filtered out. Like, or let me say this, because, I love steaks. If you follow this podcast, I'm a big person about like
prime
like
rib.
Steaks. STAKES. Like, let's make it plain. Like, in real life, people die. Like, people,
yeah, they should have killed more people or something.
Yes, especially, okay, so the father, for
Spencer
example.
Clay gets shot through the mouth.
I know, and that was very satisfying, but like the dad legit almost died like 3 times and it just never happened. I was just kind of like, and I loved him. He was a great actor, but I'm like, he probably gonna survive this time based on whatever. Like, that's just not real life. Like, I was watching another movie the other day where like this one family survives this like apocalypse when like basically nobody else does. I'm like, just like, this is why, like, the perfect storm was good because it's like we all died. Like, sometimes motherfuckers die. Like, I like, why would you have a father who's near death, who's sick, and Jesse's
father, yeah.
Jesse has made it her life's purpose is to be a scientist and focus on that passion and that brilliance, but kind of her father's sickness is sort of taking a lot of her attention, and she's paying a lot for bills. And it was not that her dad sick and dying was the biggest factor to her leaving science, but she had to take care of her dad. And Faraday's whole message to her was like, you need to be living your purpose. Like, it is a waste of resources to continue taking care of the elderly.
Your purpose.
And even Jesse's dad was like, it kind of is a waste of resources to be taking care of us,
He's like,
which is fucked up. I'm not ageist, but I'm just saying, like, why would you write a book where a character is sick and they don't die? Like, I don't get that.
I mean, that
just make them well.
That gets into this other theme where you have an entire world at stake, and this is where it can get a little frustrating. Where, like, why would Justin Falls like stress, and eventually she has to tell her daughter, like, I am trying to make a better world. The reason I'm not here with you, they get separated at some point, is because everyone will fucking die. So stop being a little brat and get your shit together. That type of thing.
Right.
Like, I get it. It does sort of make their relationship a little bit less, I don't know, because it's so illogical to have one of the most brilliant scientists in the world. Like, why doesn't she just, I mean, she's struggling. I mean, she feels guilty because she is the responsible. She killed, so she doesn't really want to, be involved in science.
But the show had that conversation of her reminding her child that she's doing passionate work like 6 times.
Too many times.
I was like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
Like we get it. You
love
your child.
Little kids, sometimes you have to do that multiple times.
I know, but I don't have to see every time as a viewer. And I'm sorry, like, the penultimate episode was way better than the finale.
Yeah.
Or also at one point in the show, we're getting into the size of the show now. At one point in the show, we're kind of getting the impression that Justin Falls and Faraday are like maybe falling for each other. And that was just so unnecessary. Especially because he had a whole family on Anthea. I was like, so you just fully cheating on your alien wife and kids? Like, I'm not bought into this. It's like, well, this is my earthly bitch.
Right.
I was not bought into their love story.
I think,
like, why does there need to be a love story? Like, if there's a man and a woman, why does there have to be a love story?
Love is a very unique human emotion. And for Faraday to accomplish his mission, he needed to embrace this human side of him. And that's sort of where Thomas Newton fell apart, right? Is this idea that Thomas Newton fails his mission because he falls in love with a woman, Mary Lou. And because of that love, he becomes an alcoholic, right? He's captured by the CIA. He's tortured by the CIA. And then he becomes in charge of a major oil company, right? Like, here's a guy who came to discover fusion. So Thomas Newton and Faraday are sort of in they're diametric opposites and they oppose each other in many ways. And what I think they're showing is that love and connection doesn't have to result in pain and suffering, which is sort of what I think the first film sort of looks into. And talking about Mary Lou, Thomas Newton's, original love from the first film, she ends up becoming a nun in this like bomb-ass nunnery. Cool. And she gets shot. She gets brutally murdered and killed, protecting.
But we didn't
Faraday
love Mary Lou.
Yeah.
Like, she was a cool character, but like,
I think
you have to sometimes. It can't just be killing tertiary and secondary characters.
Yeah.
Especially when there's literally an old man who is ailing. I'm like, why is he sick then? If he's
two old men that are Thomas Newton is also ailing, and he got his eyes removed by the CIA, but
he still has eyes. Like, there were some things that just.
He has his Anthony eyes. Maybe I'm just human eyes.
You're right. I am a cynic. I'm kind of just like
you like to kill. You like people dying. You need the body count need to be a little bit higher. You would like The Walking Dead.
I don't like people dying. I just don't need these like bullshit love stories. Even in Stranger Things, like, I don't care about Mike and Eleven. I don't care about that. Like,
wow,
like,
we're gonna get canceled. That was the line that
I don't care about Lucas and Max. I don't care about kids kissing. Like, I just cannot get invested in this. Like,
and you don't care about adults kissing.
I don't care about Hopper and
Damn,
Joyce.
you're a romantic.
I don't like, but you can show love without romantic love.
Yeah,
like, you can show. Friendship love.
You didn't think that Faraday's and Jesse's
parental
kiss
love
at the end was I
thought it was messed up because he's like, I'm on my way back home to Anthea to reunite with my family.
But that's
let me get some sugar in before you go. That's not.
But Antheans don't have that kind of love and that affection. Like he's like, I didn't love my family. Faraday realized he didn't love his family until he embraced that human side of him.
But there was a moment in the show where he said he loved Molly, the child. He's like, y'all taught me real love. Like, I love this child like my own. That was enough for me. I didn't then also need him to fall in love with the scientist.
Maybe it's like an embrace of polyamory.
But then it's just like, what? Did you think that them being attracted to one another and falling for each other was necessary?
I think
yes or no?
I think they were playing with the original film a little bit, right? Like, which we didn't watch the original film, but I know about it, and I think that it's sort of this homage to the original film. So, but did it work for me? You're right. I could have done without it. I think
people do that to us all the time. They're like, show more pictures of y'all kissing. Why? We're married. I like him. I like the guy. He's okay. Do I need to tongue kiss him?
Maybe it was they didn't tongue kiss it. Maybe it was a friendship kiss. If y'all watch The Man Who Fell to Earth, there is a kiss at the end. Amber hates the kiss. I think it's a nice.
I love, but it's just kind of like, can't a woman just be a scientist without having to fall in love? Like, because y'all already played that whole.
I don't think
she got distracted.
Do you think she fell in love? I didn't.
I think they were trying to get us there.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because there's this idea that if you make an Anthean fall in love with you, right? And Mary Lou says this to Jesse, is that you can ruin them, right? Like, they can be ruined by love. And I thought that was a beautiful theme. Like, you could. I do.
I love love. I'm just tired of the Instagram photo of y'all at dinner and y'all on the beach and y'all, like, I think there are other ways, and that's kind of just the kind of comedy I create anyway as well, right? Or that we create. It's like, we're in love, but every day doesn't have to be down on one knee, roses and, tears.
Yeah.
But I love you.
True.
Yeah.
But Faraday doesn't fall on roses. I mean, he is at one point earlier in the season, they call him, to sort of explain away his alienness, they call him autistic.
Wait, so you don't love me?
Oh, yeah, I love you. I thought that was implied.
It wasn't.
I'm sitting next to you.
You didn't say it, so it didn't
I'm sitting next to you.
Everybody who sits next to me loves me, just so we're clear. You're right.
It's funny, actually, Jesse trying to teach Faraday how to be more human. Oftentimes, I think you are teaching me how to be more human. It's very
Say
relatable.
more.
Or just Amber early in our relationship very often called me socially unaware. Like you can't do that. You're taking too much space, and you can't, and because I'm a white, and so thinking in terms of space, and and.
Well, sometimes you were just physically. I'm like, move.
But Jesse has to teach, him how to not be a dick and how not to.
I have to teach you that too. Ben recently just was a dick about something. Like, Ben does this thing where he's honest no matter what. So
which is
you'll be like, I want to take you to my favorite location, and Ben will be like, this is the worst fucking place I've ever been in my fucking life. I'm just like,
I'm so embarrassed. I don't know why I did that. I think I was nervous about getting to this concert on time. Amber and I went to a concert, but before, I'm so embarrassed. I feel so bad.
Well, we didn't really tell the full story. Long story very short, because I'm not going to make you keep feeling. Well, maybe I am. Long story very short. My parents took Ben to like one of their favorite restaurants around town, and they were like, "How'd you enjoy it? How was it?" And Ben could have maybe said like,
they asked me how were the tacos at this place we went to.
And Ben was like, honestly, they were the worst fucking tacos I've ever had in my life.
I didn't say fucking.
Like, you didn't, but
I didn't say fucking.
You said, honestly, they were the worst tacos I've had in my life ever.
They were so.
That's fine, but you could just be like, they could use some more seasoning, but I had a good time. Like, I don't know.
I know.
You were just brutal with the shit. And they were like, oh.
And they brought the salad out. I got like this avocado salad, and literally they like put an ice cream scoop. It looked like an ice cream scoop.
You're such a snob now.
On like a spring mix.
All right. Well, I mean,
there you have it, folks.
Don't take
like
Ben out to eat with you, because he will tell you exactly how he feels about the food that you bring to the table. Also, just one quick thing that I do love about the show: it will remind you to drink water.
Oh my God!
He runs on water. He loves water so much. He has like 4 stomachs, and every time he drank water, I was like, I should be drinking water as well.
Oh man.
But do you have anything else to say about the show?
I mean, in conclusion, can I warp up the show?
Go ahead, warp up the show.
I'm gonna warp. In conclusion, this show is fucking awesome, man. We don't have Showtime, so it sort of makes it it's a little pricey to watch, but it is 100% worth it. I think episode 6 has this whole one of the best episodes I've ever seen. What it means to be human.
Yep.
It's a gorgeous film.
The show peaked.
I think watching it, actually binging it, makes for a nicer experience. I really look forward to see where they take it. I hope they continue more, but also it sort of ends pretty nicely, right? You don't have to really do another season. They can if they want, but I was very satisfied with the ending. It's a beautiful film, TV show. So yeah, check it out, y'all.
Thanks, Ben. And thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Sci-Fi Sci Podcast. Up next for episode 94, we will be watching the science fiction musical Neptune Frost. Where's that streaming, baby?
Amazon.
Amazon. So get on over to Amazon. Watch Neptune Frost, and we will see y'all next week for the show. Bye, y'all. Now come kiss me.